Hi, this is Musa. The third game of World Chess Cup in Baku 2015 features Peter Svidler with the white pieces. This is game 3 out of 4. Peter is already 2-0 against Karjakin, and Karjakin this time trying his last chances with the black pieces. Peter started a e4 facing a Sicilian, and after d4 and c takes d4 he took with the queen, which is not so popular, and as you can see, black has many ideas: attack the queen immediately or play the check over variation, which is after c4 and knight c6, queen e3, knight f6, and as you can see, white can play knight c3 expecting queen to a5. Of course, e5 doesn't work for the moment. D takes. If knight takes, then check and either take with the queen or with the knight. However, h3 from Svidler and g6. Of course, black doesn't want to play e6 then e5, as he opts to play e5 immediately in one move. So he plays g6 and fianchetto a Indian bishop, knight c3 and bishop g7, bishop e2. Black has ideas like knight b4, threatening knight c2, forks the queen, king, and rook. There's a family fork, so maybe queen to d2 and then a3, and white will be slow. However, black can also castle or shift his knight to d7 and then maybe c5 or e5. The choice was knight to d7 and now rook to b1, preparing b4. Knight d e5. It's pointless now to play knight c5, so knight d e5 and white castles. Black castles too, and now rook to d1 opposing the queen. Of course, there are many ideas, such as b3 to fianchetto the bishop on b2, oppose the g7 bishop, or rook to d1 immediately. Even knight h4 and then maybe preparing f4 is a good idea too. However, the choice today was rook to d1, and now immediately knight takes f3. Of course, this black knight could have been taken previously, but maybe white chooses not to in the early game. However, after development now, black takes the f3 knight and bishop takes, and now f5. If white takes, then bishop will take on f5. White also can play c5, pin the pawn to the queen, so pawn on d6 cannot take, or even continue with development of his c1 bishop. However, Svidler takes on f5. f5 is always scary to white players, and bishop takes. This is attacking the rook, so bishop must go to e4 and queen to d7. If bishop takes bishop, then queen takes bishop, and f2 is under attack. However, now white still can play c5 or even f3 or maybe queen to d3. Now queen to d3, maybe expecting queen to e6 because of knight d5 now, and knight is gonna go to b6, fork the queen and the rook, so queen goes to e6. This is attacking the bishop, and now Svidler wanting a draw. He played bishop takes f5. If Karjakin exchanges queens, then the game is gone for Karjakin. Even white here has some advantage. So queen takes f5, bishop to d2. The bishop will take another route to c3 again instead of b3 and bishop b2. However, of course, the rook on b1 was attacked, so maybe if white plays knight c3 attacks the rook, then it wouldn't be possible to play b3 at the moment. Now rook a e8, defending extra defense for e7, and now bishop to c3 opposing the bishop g7, and e6 attacks the knight. And of course bishops cannot be exchanged at the moment, because if bishop takes bishop, then pawn takes knight, attack the queen. If queen goes to h6 or even c3, then queen takes f2, and it's trouble for white. So the theme of the game is the f2, and we will see how the game ends when f2 has some more action. However, after e6 we see knight moving from the attack, and now d5. The threat is either d4, if c takes d5, then e takes d5, and still d4 is coming, so bishops must be gone from the game after king takes, queen to c5. And black maybe could have taken on c4, or even marches with d4, but rook to f6, and maybe Svidler could have played knight to d7, forcing the rook to go back to f7, then knight b6, letting Karjakin choose another way. But he spots this idea, and b4 maybe will attack the knight, but the main idea of b4 is that the rook is attacked by the queen and overloads the other rook on d1, so rook will go to b2, defends the second rank, frees the queen, and frees the other rook to control the d file. Knight to e5 now, the threat is real. Knight will go to d3, force the rook to take, or even attacks. Of course this is attacking the queen, or even attack the f2, and white calmly take d5, and now of course knight to d3 comes, and queen to e3. Maybe another variation, and this is our specialty here, queen c7 check, forcing the king of course to go to h6. This is perhaps the only move of king to h8, then maybe f3, and it's all gone, and white is better. So king must go to h6, this is a scenario, and queen goes back to c2. If knight takes f2, queens are exchanged. After rook takes, rook to e1, knight d3, rook e3, knight f4, rook d1, rook d8, and maybe g4 now attacks the rook, rook f6, and d6. But the game is about equal. There is a slight edge for white after knight to d5, maybe rook to e5, and it's all about equal, and white is fine. However, after knight to d3, this is the game. We had queen to e3. Svidler has his right to care about his f2, plus the knight is attacked now, but Karjakin focused a lot on the knight and thought he needed to take with the knight, not the queen, and that is a huge blunder. Taking with the queen would have been better, even though the game should be equal. So it's a must now that the knight is attacked, and maybe rook to e1, repeating the same ideas in the previous scenario. However, we had knight takes f2, and Svidler here had a really good move, and that is rook to f1. Karjakin thought he can save the position by playing queen to e4, and after rook b e1. He played e takes d5. Of course, before rook b e1, exchanging the queens is a bad idea for white, losing the advantage. Rooks are exchanged, and after rook e1, e takes d5, knight takes d5 check. The king cannot go to e5, of course. f5 and g4 check. If king go to a5, then this is as simple as it can be, and white's a piece up. So rook b e1 was played, and maybe Karjakin should have played rook to f8, rook e f8 of course, but he took the pawn. And now white has two good ideas. The best one is queen to c3, and this is open attack on the queen. However, the other rook on e8 is undefended. The queen cannot defend the rook, of course, so maybe queen will be forced to take, and or maybe go to d3. However, the other alternative is queen to d2 now, and maybe black will play after queen to d2, knight takes h3 check, and keeps attacking even though white is clearly better. But Svidler blunders a counter blunder, and that is huge after rook takes f2, allowing Karjakin's only move, and that is, if you want to think about it, queen to h4. Unbelievable. Now this is of course forcing the following variation, only the following variation, and that is queen takes the undefended rook, check, queen takes f2 check, king h2, queen takes b6, rook e7, king h6, of course, rook d7, controlling this square, the d7 square, and maybe now queen can even take on b4, threatening check, but black is always faster, and the game is equal. However, Karjakin haven't had enough here after queen to h4. Here comes another blunder from Svidler, not taking the rook and equalizing the game, but playing queen to d2 and allowing yet another and only move for Karjakin with black pieces, and that is rook takes f2. Of course, if queen takes, then check. The queen is done anyways, so might as well take the rook, and black is a queen versus a knight. The knight will not stay for so long, let alone the extra pawns that black has. So after rook takes f2, the game is completely gone. Svidler thought he is still winning by playing queen c3 check. He did not calculate the last move that made him resign. Can you think of it? d4, and Svidler immediately resigned, knowing that if queen goes to c7 check, then rook goes back. The queen will be attacking the rook on e1 along with the other rook on e8, and the game is completely gone. For example, if we continue, only move of course, and maybe if rook takes e8, which is maybe one of the clear moves here, then rook takes c7. If queen try to go back anywhere, of course defending the rook cannot be done for the moment, so maybe queen takes f7, king takes f7, rook takes e8, leaves, after king takes, leaves white with a knight facing a terrorizing queen. So this is it for Svidler for today, and tomorrow is his last chance to either draw or win against Karjakin. Perhaps Svidler is winning anyways, but this is a really interesting game to me. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.